I'm calling the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Our first item on the agenda is a short presentation from Community Choice Aggregation to Community Power. We have Alexia Lamb that's going to do a short presentation for us.
Great. Hi, thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Hello, Alexia. How are you?
All right, I'm pretty good. You guys are a little bit quiet, but as long as you can hear me, then we're good. And all right, it looks like I can share the screen on my end, so I'll just go through some slides, keep it nice and quick. And if you guys have questions or anything, you can certainly send them to me afterwards. I'll share contact information, all that fun stuff at the end. So let me start sharing, get right into it. All right, screen. Hopefully you guys can see that. And we will go from beginning. So thank you so much for having me. Hopefully you've at least heard a little bit about some of the stuff we're talking about, CCA, clean energy, Joule community power. Some of those might ring a bell. We did do outreach and education for the village of Canton from about mid-April to the end of June. So some newspaper articles, press releases, etc., talking about these programs. We're excited to, move forward with that as soon as possible with the village, and we're hoping that some others within the North Country will also be involved, including we're answering an RFP that was put out for a CCA administrator by the town of Potsdam. So that'll be later this month, and then hopefully we'll be working with them and just moving forward with as many folks as possible. Therefore, the power of aggregation can really reach its full potential. So all that to say, hopefully you guys have heard of us. Thank you for having me here. And I'm Alexia. I work with municipal leaders such as yourselves. I've worked a lot with residents who are learning about CCA, so hopefully can answer those questions. Just in the interest of time, a lot of those might come after this meeting. So jumping into it. Our mission, as well as our vision, pretty straightforward. We want to help communities achieve their sustainability objectives, but we certainly don't want that to be a burden on the wallet. We don't want it to be a difficult thing to achieve. We want clean energy to be much more accessible. And we do that with a couple of tools. Sorry, let me get this out of the way. It's blocking my screen a little. Reducing your carbon footprint is really important, but we don't want that to mean that, it's breaking the bank or anything like that. Just really maximizing clean energy within the community by targeting it at a larger scale, basically shifting the majority of the community over to clean energy all at once, accessing the benefits of community power with, very, very local mindset. Over 150 communities have enabled CCA in New York. That doesn't mean all of them have active programs. It simply means that they have passed the local law, which is something we'll talk about a little bit later as well. Joule has about 50 who are active at the moment, and certainly hoping to grow that all the time. And this really makes the decision-making local rather than state mandated or, leaving things in the hands of the utility. Most people don't necessarily think about it that way, but the supply options, unless you choose some kind of third-party energy supply company, those decisions are really just made by National Grid and passed off to you, and you don't really get a whole lot of say about the rate or where it's coming from. And this is a way to, address that head on and do it in a way that allows access to clean energy. We do have more municipalities than any other administrator. Hopefully, if you've ever checked out our website, you can read some testimonials and so on. Just, some municipal leaders such as yourselves. Oh, my cat has great timing. Learning a little bit about that if you are curious, and really attacking head-on these ambitious goals set forward by New York State. If you're familiar with the 2019 climate law, that is 70% renewable energy by 2030, which is kind of right around the corner at this point, as well as 10 gigawatts of distributed solar by 2030. CCA, simply put, is a policy. It enables municipalities to determine their default energy offerings on behalf of residents and small businesses. We usually, just for simplicity's sake, define small businesses as roughly the size of your average residence. So something like a college or university would not be eligible for CCA. But if someone runs a business out of their house or something to that scale, then they would be automatically included. As I mentioned, it's default, so this is done on an opt-out basis, but we make the process as simple as possible to opt out of the program if folks choose to, which I'll talk about a little bit as well. New York promotes CCA. This creates opportunities to save consumers money. We typically do see quite a few savings, support renewable generation, of course, and increase consumer protection. So entering the energy market, if you're just exploring, your average renewable energy sources, you might get locked into a tricky contract. There are frequently, we hear stories of clauses where folks have to pay a couple of $100s to leave the program, or they're locked in at a really good rate. They think they're locked in at a great rate, and then later on it ends up skyrocketing and so on. So we are aware of the fact that things like that happen, and we're here to assure you that's not this program. For whatever the duration of the contract is, usually about 24 months, that rate is guaranteed. We're very straightforward with everything, discuss it all with municipal leaders. There's no pressure for them to move forward if they do not want to, but just kind of propose it to them as this is the rate, this is what would be guaranteed for X amount of time, and the consumers can opt out or opt back into the program whenever they would like to without fees or, fine print, nothing like that to worry about. CCA has existed since 2016. Joule has existed longer than that, actually. We've existed and continue to serve as a general energy advisor as well as an administrator for CCA. We've worked with community solar programs, provided advice, regarding electric vehicles, things of that nature. This just tends to be one of our most popular programs and something that we're really excited to see heading towards the North Country more and more. It shifts the whole community from fossil fuels to renewable energy. As I mentioned, this is done on an opt-out basis, so it becomes the new default rather than, say, National Grid choosing your supply option for you. It would be a renewable option. A competitive bidding process occurs with suppliers. So Joule assures that they, discuss with them, the leaders of Joule, the, experts of the energy industry who have been within it for decades, or those who are negotiating with the suppliers and assuring that it's the absolute best rate possible for those involved. And as I mentioned, if at the end of the day, there are folks who still don't want to participate, they can opt out. They can do so by calling us. They can do it themselves online, or if, say, they don't have, stable internet connection or something like that, they can send in a mailer. And no penalty, no fees. So what I've been referencing mostly is renewable electricity supply, or CCA, community choice aggregation. Gets a little confusing with all the names, but this is essentially just the program I'm talking about, where this becomes the new default, a low fixed rate default of renewable energy, where it is free for the residents to opt out at any time. A similar program is Community Choice Solar, which is the opt-out version of something you may have heard of before, community solar, essentially just passing on the benefits of solar to those who might not be able to have panels themselves for whatever reason. I rent, so I can't just say, hey, I want to put a solar panel on my property. And there are a lot of folks who are in similar boats, or maybe their property just doesn't lend itself well to solar. They can still reap those benefits, support renewable energy. And when it's done on this opt-out version, the low to moderate income customers are prioritized, so that, of course, they're the first ones, it's most beneficial for them to receive those discounts, receive those benefits, and it's usually about 10% savings seen by these programs. Also earning money for local projects. Oh, sorry, someone say something?
No, somebody just
All right, and currently this is only available through Joule. We have a couple of communities who are already involved in opt-out community solar, and we're hoping to move forward with that soon with plenty of other folks. Like I mentioned, we're happy to help with other projects as well, trying to, view ourselves more broad scale as an energy advisor rather than just CCA administrator, though this is something that we do quite a bit. already alluded to this, but just as a fun little visual here, you're subscribing to a share of a solar farm. So based on your rough, annual usage, the household would be assigned a certain share of a solar farm. This feeds clean energy into the grid. Number 2 over here, and then you're earning credits directly on the utility bill. Fortunately, when done on an opt-out basis, community solar is one bill. It gets a little confusing when it is not opt-out. There are 2 bills. People get confused about what they're being charged, what the credits are going towards. And I worked with Jewel on opt-in community solar for a while. I promise you, it can get a little bit dicey. So this removes a lot of those barriers, which is exciting from my perspective. Oh, and similarly, no sign up or cancellation fees with this. No aggressive marketing, nothing like that. I receive mail all the time from those who claim to be, environmentally conscious companies. I find it very ironic how much paper they use sending me mail. Sometimes I've heard of, people literally going door to door trying to sell this stuff. This is not that. It's, like I said, just one monthly bill. Try to keep it really simple. No contracts, no exit fees, no credit checks. That also used to be a barrier to getting access to community solars. Those who really would reap the most benefits from these discounts oftentimes didn't have high enough credit scores based on what the farms were requiring, but this is not the case. So the major next steps, wrapping up here, I promise, approving CCA local law. This is very non-committal. It's something, as I mentioned before, over 150 communities in New York have taken this step. It paves the way for us to say, okay, great, we think they're really interested in this thing. For instance, we're hoping that this will be done in the town of Potsdam soon. We'll start to assess frameworks, start to assess whom they could be aggregated with, as well as selecting Jewel as a program administrator. There is a short agreement that we ask you to sign, though this does not commit you to anything. It just, allows us to present some of our contract options. Will certainly open up more room for discussion as opposed to just more general conversation like we're having right now. These, I believe I did send over just for a few folks to kind of review, and I can certainly send them to the whole board tomorrow or later this week. But again, these are non-committal. You can pass both of these and still choose not to ever move forward with CCA, or you could pass them now and then move forward, many months from now, a year from now. We've kind of seen it all. It doesn't have to go in this order either. It doesn't just have to be approved the local law and then select. Really, switching that order is totally fine too. These are just the 2 steps that do need to be done for us to kind of move forward from there. And last but very important point I do want to, just address is the municipality doesn't pay Jewel for services. We, are happy to invest our time, our resources into these steps, into outreach and education. Even if a municipality never moves forward with CCA, that's totally fine. You're not bearing any of the risk of saying, oh, we paid for this thing. What if we don't actually want to do it? Our payment comes through about less than 1/10 actually of a cents per kilowatt worked in with suppliers. So that again is not being passed on to the municipality, not being passed on to the residents. It's just a very, very small fee agreement worked out with suppliers. I won't get into all of this, but if you'd like to check out a little bit more about some of Jewel's impact and some of the savings, I will highlight that well over 10 million now dollars have been saved in 2022 for our communities. It's really protected some of those, especially who live in areas with utilities who've had insanely volatile markets. The past several years have been a little unprecedented, but we've seen some even wackier stuff in 2022 than what we're used to. So a lot of protection there through our programs. And thank you so much for your time. These are my contacts. I'm happy to, take a phone call, set up some kind of phone call, or just send me emails. I know sometimes folks like to just have things, in writing. So if you have even 10 questions you want to just send my way via email, I've certainly laid it out like that before to just answer X, Y, and Z and send that over so you can assess it amongst yourselves. Thank you so much. I will end there and stop sharing. You can move on. Great, I appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you so
Thank-
much.
Thank you all so much. I hope you're having a lovely evening. Like I am, I'm located in Syracuse, but I lived in Potsdam for about 7 years. So I'm missing the fall up there. But anyway, thanks so much. I hope to talk to you guys soon. And like I said, I can send over whatever you need via email and we can be in touch.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Next item on the agenda is public comment. This is the time for to listen. Is there any public comment at this time? Okay, the next item is county legislative representative update. I don't see any of our representatives here, so we'll move forward. We need a motion to approve minutes of the regular board meeting of August 10th, July, the special board meeting August 25th, and the joint town village board meeting of July 27th. Is there a motion? Moved by Bob, is there a second? Second by John, all in favor say aye.
First of all, I'm going to put out an error
Okay,
on the special meeting.
I did fix Klaus's name already,
Did you fix
like
it?
in 3 spots. Yeah, I put a C a couple times.
Okay.
That is corrected.
My name's also spelled wrong.
Really?
My
I
name
will-
wasn't spelled wrong, but
Fix it.
last time I checked, I'm not supervisor, so. Anyway,
okay, anything else? All in favor say aye. Aye, carried. Correspondence, I just have one, and you all received it via emails from the St. Lawrence County Office of Emergency Services, Bureau of Emergency Medical Services. They sent us data on the different agencies and the coverage and the calls that they get and the turnover. So you all got a copy of that. I am going to give this to the clerk for the record. The original one. So it's pretty profound how the EMT calls and what's going on. Thank them for their service. Great, town finances report. Hi, Angela.
Good evening. We have provided the August 2022 town report in advance. So just as a very high level summary, on page 1, on the far right, overall, the town of Canton has a surplus of $146,541 across all the funds. You will notice that some funds have deficits and some funds have surpluses. Very cyclical to what we've seen in the town of Canton in years prior. So there's some of the revenue still to come in, and others we have all the revenue, but there's still expenses to come in. So that is the summary for all funds within the town of Canton. Going to the very last page is the cash position within the town of Canton. And as of August 31st, 2022 versus August 31st, 2021, we do see an increase in cash of around $430,000. Large part of that we use outside the fund. So the cash position is not there, the segregation for different escrows and ARPA money, etc. is all broken down as well. Any questions? The town clerk's report, we also have that as well. For the month of August, that report is presented. Looking at the revenues and expenses, what we would expect to see, what we do is that the total revenues we win has gone out to the respective recipients, whether they be in the town or some other outside agency. There is $117 left in the fee side of that, which we will see. So we see a surplus at the end of August, and then at the end of September, we would expect that same $17 surplus over the course of 2 months that will wash each other out. And again, the zero and balances on each report.
So the $17 is actually, it's kind of part of my report, but so I had 2 people pay stuff on the internet without the proper documentation. So $10 of that was like for a certified copy. They just paid with no paperwork. Then once they finally submitted it, they weren't actually entitled to it. So it was a process of back and forth for about 3 weeks. And then the $7 actually just got taken care of this week. So you'll see it in this month's report. And this $10 was refunded this month as well. So that's where that's, yeah.
Great. Any questions? Audit committee.
Fund A, townwide, 64,743.43. Fund B, town outside, 4,549.88. Fund DA, townwide highway, 36,299. Fund DB, part-town highway, 177,164.92. Special fire, 3,958 even. Special lighting, 285.36. And finally, trust and agency, 20,364.25.
Motion to spend the funds. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay, department reports. Heidi, we'll have you go first.
So August was a very busy month because we started the sale of hunting license. So it's been really busy. I'll just do a couple highlights from my report. Leanna passed her notary exam and she now has her stamp and book. So we now have 2 notaries in the office, which is great for the community. Records management, I went to the highway department with Steven and we went through all the records that he has in the barn. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that with me. Just still working on the upstairs. I've already organized the town clerk section and I'm working on the supervisor section at the moment. I figured out how to digitalize marriage licenses, so that's really exciting. But our records go back to 1881, so that's gonna take some time. So, but I was pretty excited about that. Carol Pinch and I met and we separated the code enforcement officers page on the website, so it's no longer town and village code offices. The town has their own portion and the village has their own portion, so Mike and I will work together to make it how he wants it. So thank you to Carol for her help. I sat in on that the World Games webinar on August 24th. They really just touched base about what's going to be in our location and the security. So there'll be hockey games at SUNY Canton and at Chill Arena. And then playoffs will be in Tupper Lake, or not Tupper Lake, Saranac Lake. So that's pretty exciting. And that's, pretty much it. And then I'm just working with Marianne the best we can to get through her stuff until she hires a new bookkeeper, secretary. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Heidi. All right, Megan, would you like to go next?
I just have 2 updates. The engine on the Olympia has been repaired. It's fine, great. And guys drove it down highway yesterday in a rainstorm because the season was great. I have talked a lot of that. And then the compressors are going on tomorrow. Our first day of scheduled is October 7th. So tomorrow is officially your turn.
Wait, it's on.
At least in that end of the village, right?
That's right.
Thank you, Megan. Mike.
Thanks, Mary Ann. Gonna keep this short. Month of August, 13 total trips. including one garage, another single family home, one manufactured home, a couple barns, 2 or 3 decks. Project cost was, for those 13 permits were $873,100. Issued 9 compliance certificates and 1 occupancy certificate for the home in Canton. We're still busy with solar in the town of Canton. As in my report, I should be receiving another solar site for the Dickerson Road by the end of this month. Attended the fair housing meeting at the county planning office. Attended an open solar question and answer meeting via Zoom through Penn State University, which was very informative for myself. Other than that, normal stuff, inspections on projects, just keep it busy.
So we're up to number 8 on solar.
Correct.
Any questions? A lot of work, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Cindy?
Just to mention, the county, the online county auction started. So, and I think that booklet's in Heidi's office, correct? Right. Okay. There wasn't many parcels in Canton. Mostly up in Messina. Okay. Anyway, like I said in my report, I reviewed all those sales. It took about a month to go through all of them, and I was able to retransmit a lot of them, and by doing that, we moved the equalization rate back up at some point. So that was good. Just things that get, go by the wayside, and you don't know until you gotta keep up with things. So on that, I started working on the permits, collecting the permits. A lot of them are not done yet. So but hopefully we'll wrap things up by, at least by March. So anybody have any questions?
Cindy and I are gonna work on a press release to try to recruit members. The Board of Assessment.
Yeah, I need 2 people.
Yeah, so we'll do that hopefully next week. We're good? All right, let's see. Linda?
Yes. Sorry it was late today, but no. And there mostly no range in town.
Get you introduced.
It's a certain story. She started with me 9 years ago. She didn't get paid. She volunteered. Then I paid her for a year. She was a student such a good job. Then she was finally paid. And I said, go volunteer at the library because she has her degree in history and a degree in French. In 6 months, they had to. It's hard, maybe do something in place like she was not doing. But now with the move, she's unbelievably happy. We have been happy for 3 weeks. And we're not anywhere near the 40 boxes in the hallways and my office. And I think now, since the building is being painted, we can start getting those down there. Let's talk about this.
We're working on it.
Yes.
Baby steps. Yeah.
So I can see us being in Canton building. Maybe the end of September. Yeah.
Again, we're.
Yeah.
It's getting paid right now, and
Yes.
that's done, then we'll slowly work stuff in.
Yes. And the report is so short, my 31 years of writing. So it's never too short. But they're packing and people are coming in. So it's a process. Without Rachel, I couldn't have this. There's no way. So I thank her continually, and she fits in Monday, which is only going on 2 weeks back. She holds time there. And when she comes up in the big clock. And she writes on Kelly, so it wasn't going to move it. you all have some good thoughts. Very excited for the community. The community. And you're right, now there's gonna be a lot of traffic. Those people are gonna. What I have in my office up here, looks monitor, are 350 pictures after 3,000 football. And frankly, so it's very long. I'm going to be getting them, not that big, but larger, so people are going on it. And then, I can take some grass and. And Mark told me about county surplus. And we may have file doors, we might have 3 file doors. And we also have magazine rights. She's calling back today. Yes, so it's interesting. If I was younger, I would want faster. It's not. When you're 75 now, it's like a little longer if I did. She does her job. And thank you for giving that. Village Forest. Yes. And that with the ladies in the Catholic, where they recycle clothing. And we're looking forward to this.
It's the St. Mary's
Yeah,
gift shop,
St. Mary's,
right,
yeah.
and the nice thing about this move is they're open Monday through Thursday from 10 to 4. So the traffic that's going there.
And they will probably do a weekend with something going on. And maybe one night, let's do this.
So,
Busy corner.
Rachel, thank you. And there is a little more money in the budget, so we are paying her a little bit more than so we appreciate it. Okay, any questions of Linda? All right, Stephen.
Hi, everyone. We've got our big pipes that we got in the last board meeting installed on Irish Settlement Road. That's all done, except for once we get all of our pipes in, we want to do pave those spots over for the winter for plowing. We've got another spot on Irish Settlement that hopefully next week we'll be doing. And we did Old DeKalb Road today where flooding's been happening. So we're starting to get all of our flooding issues hopefully whittled away. I'd like to thank Megan again for helping us out, get the mower for Labor Day to mow cemeteries. Always helps out. You know, she gets it right to us when we need it. Finnegan Road project is all completed now. Shoulders are on, everything's done there. Can't thank the county crew what they do for the paving for us and all. They tremendous job. Keep everything right where they should. They keep my numbers so that everything goes smooth. We made it over to Rensselaer Falls and put in pipe across the fire department. That was a week before last. 240 feet of 24-inch pipe we put in. That was where the driveway has been questionable for some years. We've got that done, except for having to put the topsoil on, and then Rensselaer Falls and the MOU was responsible for the seeding. So they do have the topsoil there, so we just need to be able to put that on. You know, and we can get that squared away with paperwork. Our new loader came in last week, was delivered. Everything was the way it should have been when it came. A little bit late, but it's here now. We're just about probably one more week. We should have the cutting back on the roadsides, our summer pass where we trying to get things back to the bushes a little bit more. So that's getting pretty well wound up. We work on the sand pile and we get a day here and there that keeps trying to fall and run through it. Any questions on anything?
Thank you. Lee is not able to be here tonight. So I need a motion to accept the department reports. By John, second by Bob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Okay. Committee reports.
I can start.
Okay.
Highway Committee and the Complete Streets met today, and we're getting close to being able to present some language to codify Complete Streets and town law. Just sent the version back, so that it's been spruced up, and then as soon as we'll get it back and go circulate it to the board and legal. And get it on the agenda. Zoning and Code Committee continues to meet, things are moving along. We meet weekly, 2.5 hours at a clip. A lot, going through the whole deal, and we have full participation, so it's good. And Solar Committee continues to meet, and we'll be reporting out on that in the executive session.
The Sustainability Committee met last week. There was a lengthy discussion regarding, and I think I sent around to the board some information on it, creating and supporting rather a Bill of Rights for the Grass River to kind of, it's kind of hard to describe properly, but basically it creates an option if a business pollutes the Grass River, for example, then there can be some legal action against that business to prevent them from doing it. And it really becomes a civil fine for them to do that. So I'll have more information on that once we figure out what we're going to do with that to make sure, because there were some questions on the Bill of Rights themselves and what we could actually get away with doing and what was appropriate and inappropriate. So there'll be more on that. I'm probably going to mispronounce her name, but Heidenreich is getting done in December. So we're going to look at what are we going to do in the next few years and whatnot. So there are going to be some inputs from that. So other than that, yep. So economic development, I guess the biggest thing for economic development tomorrow, if you're not aware of it, at 6:30, there's going to be a DRI/New York Forward public information session at your time. Yes. Yeah.
All right, communications and technology. Sent an email to the board 2 days ago. We had a little bit of a hiccup in what we wanted to do as far as going from 3 lines down to 2. Our ABS, our IT people have some concerns about that. They have some concerns about firewalls and having to add new equipment. Because what happens is when you go down to 1 wire, which we didn't realize, is either one municipality or the other is the lead. So it's either the town or the village. So the other one has to follow what's going on with the other one, which puts us at a real disadvantage because our cameras may no longer be in use. He listed a whole bunch of things here. I'll forward this email. Long story short, we need to, his recommendation is that we stay where we are with the 3 lines. So I think that's right. The only other thing that, what we want to do is we still need to up our broadband speed to 100 because we're at 50/50, and according to the new regulations, we're not even served at 50. So we need at least to be 100. So we still need to go forward with that piece. But as far as the lines here in the building, we need to stay put where we are. Unless someone
50 to upgrade to 100, that's through slip.
Correct.
slip.
And I do have, I did speak with John, or sorry, Mr. Bunstone, and he is supposed to get some information and get back to us, and then he will have to come to the building and look at the lines. I just haven't.
Will the line support the additional, I mean, you know, talking just to jump here, right?
Yeah, he didn't know, he had to come in and look at it.
What are other businesses on Main Street? Where are they rated at right now? Are people getting 100 Mbps or not? Or is everybody in the same boat? You know that?
We don't know that.
That'd be a good question to find out if other businesses are getting
We do
that
know,
sort of output from SLIP.
we do know, well, I don't see why it would be an issue because the village was at 50/50 as well. And since we found all this out, they have since upgraded to 100.
Yeah.
So if they were able to do it, it's the wire.
Is that just a software thing or do they actually have to upgrade the line coming in?
I don't. Well, to your point, John, I don't think they need to.
I don't think. they
No, I mean, but in order for that, when the village went from 50 to 100, was it software on SLIP's end or was it actual upgrading the line coming in the village?
I don't, we don't know that.
And then it's.
Because if it's just a
extra cost.
upgrade on their end, I mean, it seems automatic, they should give us 100. if they give us.
We will find out.
I was wondering if there'd be a cost.
I mean, it will change from, I think it's 149 monthly to
25 upgrades.
just 175, 179, I think with the monthly change from going. Those numbers may be off.
I don't see how we can afford not. to do it. Money is an issue with that issue. But we have to have it.
Right, anything else? Yeah.
Negotiations committee met and happy to say that we have the tentative agreement. And hopefully we will see the draft of that contract. So that we can modify it. It wasn't a fast process. I only had 2 great ways since we started.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
We're running out of that.
Looks like we're running out of early, guys.
Good thing we got it done.
How's that done? We're close. We're close. All right, thank you, everybody. Old business, we need to set a public hearing to change the open meetings law video conferencing. It sent a draft to the board. So we now need to just review that and my recommendation is we set a public hearing for that. 5:45, is everybody good with that? All right, so, was everybody? So we're ready to legally notice this and get it out, post it?
Well,
Or do you wanna,
we have it on further down our agenda, to talk about changing the date of our meeting, so I think we gotta be a little careful with that. Want to hold, put a pin in it until we discuss the other issue?
sure, we can do that. Okay, next item is discuss purchase of town vehicle. We started talking about this last month. A lot of ideas, a lot of viewpoints, and so now it's back on the agenda again. And did he hand out something? Do you want to talk a little bit about
Sure.
this?
So what I wanted to figure out was, what is the 5-year cost on an electric vehicle versus a gas vehicle? So what you have in front of you is exactly that. I compared a number of vehicles, Malibu, for example. I looked at a Tesla, I looked at a Bolt, I looked at a Bolt, which is the smaller version of the Bolt. I looked at the Honda Fit, which is about the size of the Bolt. Sounds like we're talking about hardware here, and I apologize for that, but for all intents and purposes, it looks as if, and this is from Edmunds.com, the actual cost of running an electric vehicle is actually higher than running a gas-powered vehicle, based on their information. So
Is the real number we're looking at the true cost to own over the 5 years?
Yep.
Isn't the bulk the lowest of all the numbers shown?
It is, but it's not that much of a difference.
Well, but it is the lowest, correct?
Well,
For the
yeah,
record, and then I guess I would just say the tax credit for the bulk is only listed at $1,500, and the DEC has a rebate of $7,500 right now for vehicles.
but that's on a purchase, and the purchase isn't part of that. That's on purchase. Purchase isn't here. This is the cost of owning the vehicle. Actual cost of owning the vehicle. Maintenance, electricity, all those things. I didn't want to make a decision without knowing this. And there's costs in there that we're not even thinking of either. I'm sure, so. Electric vehicle breaks down, we can't call Steve and have him come get it. We can have him come get it, but we don't know where to take it. Fix it. So, and we don't know what the cost on that is. So.
This is a lot to.
It is,
absorb,
yeah.
Think about. Is any board member? Want to table this one more time, or do you want to continue the discussion on?
Based on the data that I've seen of what we're spending in mileage reimbursement, I think we've got a long way to go before it becomes close to what it would cost to own a vehicle. And maybe we could be more creative and offer extra compensation. Compromise between the expense of a vehicle and recognizing the fact that folks are using their vehicle. So, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to discussing going over the federal rate as a way, a good faith gesture, but not having to pull the trigger on a vehicle that has to be shared by multiple people on the same day. I mean, there's complications in owning one vehicle, whether it's internal combustion or electric, doesn't matter. I'm not quite sure we're there on it yet, personally, but yeah, I mean, what was sent around as far as what we spent on mileage, significant difference between, you know, our current expense and this new expense. Maybe there's a way to get there another way.
Is there anything? The mileage, something.
I don't believe so, Mary, but it does create a tax living. I'm not sure. So there are contracts.
That's what it's.
Yeah, but you know, if you pay in excess of the IRS, that's the creating tax.
So with the set rate is 62 cents. So 75. That difference.
Tax.
So the use of the field. You know, like I'm just showing you that's implication.
If I use that. If they're using the different deal.
Yeah, as long as you're not driving.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we wouldn't.
Well, at the last meeting, we had a little split, right? And we had two board members that were supportive of the gas card and questioning the electric. And then there was two board members, and the electric, one board member felt that we needed a card. So,
I think
You haven't changed your mind. You don't think that-
Stephen, where do your vehicles fuel up? You have gas pumps at the plant?
Yeah.
Gas and diesel?
Correct.
I'll tell you why I asked. Here's my thought. I don't know if we can do this or not. But, okay, mileage would help them with their wear and tear on their vehicles. But with gasoline being the way it is, could we offer a gasoline stipend as well? Like, let them have 10 gallons a week or whatever for their job, and make that part of mileage as well to help them out? It's just,
You're starting to get a little beyond my tax knowledge, but the way I understand, again, with that caveat, right? The way I understand the IRS regulations, it's supposed to cover gas wear and tear.
because my thought was they could just go over and fill up the town highway if they're going out somewhere to do the rounds, fill up the town highway. You don't like that?
I don't like that idea. Personally.
Never mind.
You know, you see, somebody comes to the town office and says, oh, I saw Michael Quaid filling up his car at.
I would also presume that gas in town is tax-free, and you cannot have that on a passenger vehicle.
Yeah.
So you would have to also settle up with that. Just to Eric's point, any compensation or travel over and above the IRS mileage rate is taxable. Any compensation to an employee where they do not have to account for expenses falls under the non-accountable reimbursement, which is also taxable to the employee. So there are, just to look back what Eric's saying, tax implications of any time we give an employee reimbursement beyond per diem and mileage is usually, always, a tax application.
My position is, I believe we still need to get it down.
No, I don't.
No, wait, no, excuse me. I just tell my position, go back to here now.
No, I don't.
That we need to people need to use.
You have a budget in mind?
Well, I feel that we could use our monies to purchase, whether it's electric or gas. And then put in the budget for the, I don't know.
Maybe the next step is to find out what the lease options are in vehicles from passenger car, whatever the power source is. Get the number.
Angela and I spoke briefly about it, does it make sense to get two lease cars? But do it on opposite years.
Right, so you buy one, so your leases are expiring at the same time. They're short cycle, so do you want to 2022, 23 years? Or so there's 12 weeks.
It sounds like this philosophical, partial philosophical interest in Florida to bring back some numbers.
Everybody good with that?
Since these numbers were out there, and you're able to find this number, interesting. That's great. If 62 cents is going for operation maintenance of your vehicle, is there a number out there also in cents as to how much per year in terms of cents towards replacement of, say, a vehicle after 5 years use for something?
You're talking about appreciation.
Pardon?
You're talking about appreciation.
No, I'm just talking about, is there a figure that you can put out there? You said if we wanted to do something And it was, is the figure 12 cents, is it 18 cents, is it 34 cents? That if you were going to try to help, you know, the person above and beyond maintenance and I don't know if there's a figure there for that, but, and I'd sit down, I don't know, maybe a couple of board members, sit down with Mike and Cindy, and I mean, you know, one other department head that would use the vehicle and discuss what, you know, you think would work best for you, and see if we can come to some sort of a agreement.
I'd be happy to help with
And then I guess also referencing state contract.
Yeah. But I mean, it's, you know, we try to arrange that some days, you know, if there's a certain day that less visited, like for you, it's not. But I mean,
Non solar day, perhaps.
I think not so. I think.
So we'll see in a couple of years.
You know, all I have heard basically is, you know, what they said is, you know, Mike can send you the like vehicle or vehicle. Well, the other thing, I don't, I want to sit down and talk to you about, you know, the reasoning why you think this is a good idea.
So I'm leaning more on the side of giving us something extra instead of buying a vehicle. Is that what we're
It
looking
sounds
at?
like that could be more difficult than we first thought.
Okay, so like doing like a car wash every week.
I like,
Really, my car got today.
I like Jim's idea. So Jim and Bob, will you sit down with the department head?
Before the next meeting. And,
We'll have two board members meet with department
Hey,
heads.
we have to do a car wash to pay for this thing. Take an hour, maybe it won't take an hour, but at least
Yeah.
get, you know, a better understanding of what. we're
Well,
trying
no,
to do.
like I explained to Mrs. Ashley was. At the time of going over, I had a vehicle. On Canton, I'm getting paid mileage. I've never seen the number of difference, I've never seen the numbers. So, you know, it's just, it does. See the number, maybe it does make sense. But I don't want to pay tax on it. Yeah, which I never do.
I'd much rather pay tax on 13 cents than what I pay tax on, so.
Oh, I know. And plus, if you're driving a town car, your car is still sitting here, you're still paying insurance on it, you still have a number of those costs that are intrinsic to owning the vehicle, whether you use it on a daily basis or not, so.
All right, so, Jim and Bob, will you sit down with
Yep.
the department heads?
At least,
Okay,
so I can get a better understanding of what
okay,
it would all entail.
all right, thank you, everybody. Whew. All right, ARPA funds, maybe can you bring up that resolution?
I thought it was kind of substantial.
Okay, here we go. So, we need to, in looking at the different funds, our A fund is a little bit low, and we need to do something about that. We did purchase 12 styles app for $242,084.55. We didn't budget for that in, for this year, but we did have to pay for it. So that has impacted our A account at this point. So it's my recommendation that we pay for this property out of the ARPA funds. So this is the resolution. But that's good. Yep, so you all got a copy of the resolution, so I'm opening it up for discussion. We need to do something now about the A fund. We cannot do an interfund loan. We have a very good fund balance in highway, but we cannot take money out of that and to the A account. So to the comptroller's office and association of towns, we can't make that's switch. We're not, we don't have the authority to do that. Why? Because that's comptroller.
Yeah,
They
what?
didn't-
So you always want to say.
No, but just the answer, it seems like the answer to my question, why is because we can't. Why can't?
Because they said we don't have the authority to do that legally.
Why?
It
Why,
has,
why,
why, I just-
but there must be a reason why we can't do that. And it's because we don't have the authority. Well, can we get the authority?
It said legally we cannot take
Okay, so-
money out of the highway fund and put it in the.
Okay, so why?
I just.
They didn't tell you.
Commingled. Can't commingle different funds.
And I didn't bring my notes down with me.
We've been commingling, we've been commingling DA and DD for
Too long.
You mean taking it or, you mean the interfund loans that were done before 2018?
Yeah, I
Those
mean-
6 loans that were supposed to be.
we've been doing this commingling thing for a while, now all of a sudden, so we don't. And I'm gonna go back to what I've been saying all along. And he's doing what you want. But to me, that money belongs to towns. If it doesn't belong to town, if it's townwide money, then I would say that the village should not,
Villages.
the villages, did they get our? Okay, so they got ARPA funds for the village. Our ARPA funds, I don't think. Are for the village. Including the village, because if they are, why did the village get ARPA funds? And so if we want to share or not share, this is not a share, well, it's a gift. We want to gift the village. After that 242. Go ahead. I'm not in favor of it. Because I don't know that it would be reciprocal. It's, and so the alternative to that is you've got to come up with money in A to do that. But really, the whole town is responsible. We represent the entire town, including the village. Anything with regards to that. Just town. And we as a board representing, we're elected by the whole township, we as a board decide on that purchase. However, now you want to pay for it with money that belongs to just towns. And I have, and so if an interfund loan is illegal, then maybe just giving away $120,000 for type thing.
Well, using sales tax money would be no different. And that's actually local money. Where ARPA is a gift, so. But I hear what you're saying, but there's not, this is the best of the worst option. What is the other option though? Talk for another option. If there's another option, let's talk about it.
The other option is to pay for it. What is supposed to pay for it? And if you're short on money, then you have to come up with a plan. Maybe we have to borrow money, whatever the case may be. We have to come up with a plan, but no, we can't. But I mean, it is what it is, and I guess that's a simple way. No, it's a simple way to do it. I agree. But I'm not. If you hadn't told me that what we originally wanted to do was illegal, the comptroller says we can't do it, then I would say the comptroller should have the same problem, but maybe doesn't. If they say it's okay, then but it doesn't make any sense. And if they're saying that we can't do that, because again, we're trying to borrow it, we're borrowing money from town outside to do something for town. And my question is that why they're saying we can't do it? Because we have the right as a board to take this pot of money that belongs to one group of people and lend it to this. And it was my understanding that I thought we could do it because it was a different group of monies that we had to pay interest on.
Right. And after the first
and
year.
pay it back.
That was
And
my
that-
I thought we could too.
that was my thinking, was that as long as you're borrowing it from one group, you know, to satisfy another group of people. And therefore it is a loan and it requires to pay interest on it and it requires to pay that. With this way here, we're not going to pay that.
Was that a communication in writing from the comptroller?
I'll get in writing, but we need to do something now.
And I'm sorry, I just got this
We do, we
today.
are getting the, I expect the 95,000 in state revenue soon. So that'll help us out. Whether we can get through another month,
And
I
I
think
apologize.
we can, but I will get that in writing.
I apologize, I just give it to you today, but I didn't have time to read it. It says making the most of ARPA funds and, you know, did you read it? I wanted to read it and see if there was something in there that would make me feel better about it. So for right now, and I said, if you want to move, if the rest of you want to move on it, that's fine.
I'd like to see how the question was posed and how it was answered. That's all.
I'm not familiar with the limitations of these. And was that designated as solely Commonwealth?
Yeah, we all got separate money, so assume it, but not. Yeah.
That doesn't provide a limitation.
Right.
Right, the fact that the village got additional ARPA money doesn't control what you do. You know, I haven't heard that the ARPA funds had that kind of limitation.
Sales tax does, however.
But I agree with that. I agree that there's not limitations, and if the board wants to spend that money, I respect the problem you can. My feeling is that it's a shareholder. Yeah, and it's not me sharing, it's not me being against, you know, it's just all part of it, that of how it's gonna come down. And
I personally have a lot easier time using ARPA funds than I would sales tax. But I understand your point, but
You know, we worked really hard in securing that property. Well, years of Bob's credit, and there's were to the 3-year lease to own, right? And, you know, there were some issues of when we closed because they had something that came up as well, property that delayed that. So it wasn't budgeted for, we had to take care of it. And now we're low. In the income, so.
who's my fund balance in the beginning of the year?
293,495.
Pardon?
293,000.
293,000. The fund balance,
That is correct, yes.
and that's all gone. Where'd it go?
We take for this.
this is the reimbursement. A, we've already bought style and paid for it out of A. That completed it. This is just mostly A to get through the rest of it.
So
We've already paid
if
for
we
it.
had 293,000. And are we way over budget for expenditures?
No, you're not. So your fund balance doesn't really represent cash. That's kind of the misnomer of everything. Like fund balance does not equal cash. So we'd have to pull up the 12/31 report and see what that cash balance was.
So cash balance in December that we don't.
That I don't have with me, correct. But what you have in your A fund, as Bob said, is the purchase, you have a
Yeah,
$231,000
it's in there.
deficit. So you know, September is when you receive your 18 municipalities, that's coming in, but the cash is significantly reduced with this $242,000.
I understand that. It's been-
When they passed the second kind of the interim rules of ARPA fund, and then they became final regulations, and they put in there a $10 million lost revenue calculation. It kind of gave sort of a layman's way, all municipalities less than $10 million recipients, a free pass for the ARPA. I mean, there was significant stipulation was going to come to the lost revenue calculation under the interim rights of the law. The calculation was extremely complicated in some sense. So that all went away. So to the use, just to confirm the use of that ARPA fund, because we're under a $10 million threshold, can all be lost revenue consideration for the time to be put back into a fund, not be a fund, a fund.
I mean, Jim, I hear where you're coming from, and I don't disagree with anything you're saying, but in terms of putting us in a position where we can take our expenses the rest of the year, I think, as Bob's already said, this is a lesser of the two evils, and I think this is something that we really do need to do. Again, just because we borrowed from other funds in the past, doesn't make it okay to do it now when we know it's not right.
It is a bit ironic though that we did use, well, never mind, it's ARPA money, so it's not.
Moving to the goals. I thought, just a thought. That was one thing. You know, it was that. Okay. But here again, I understand you're coming from. If it's that, again, it's, your cash is there to do. We didn't build pickle, which wasn't for her. What would we be doing? But we don't. And so rather than doing maybe what we shouldn't do. We start.
But at the time of purchase, before COVID, we were committed to buying the building and instead we met taking the loan out at the time of purchase. We were prepared to do that. ARPA just happened to come along. So, well, to tease us a little bit.
And following the budget. But style set. Okay.
I'm still confused about the loan though, because I even thought that maybe a year ago, Angela, through your office, we talked about loans and we got some guidelines about what the inter-fund loans don't need interest of their, but the borrowing from another fund, if you go past December 31st, you have to have the going rate and pay interest on that, correct?
That was my understanding.
Yeah.
I also said in a webinar, Association of Towns. And they also indicated on the interphone. Get it from two sources, but if you want it in writing from them, I will do that too. But this board needs to make a decision because we only have in the A fund, you know, we need to make payroll. I think it's even lower than this right now, real time, 67,000.
Do we have a motion on the table? If not, I'll make a motion to move forward with this resolution.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second? I'm gonna second it. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
I'd like to see what it says about loans. Personally. It's not that I don't trust you, Marianne. It's hard for me. I don't know how questions were asked, so it's hard for me to interpret it. Given this is what I'm learning now is conflicting from what I understood before. So
I guess I would argue we have a motion on the table. And so. it's point of order.
Motion, there's a second, and further discussion.
Aye.
3 votes. 4 votes, and 1 nay. Thank you. Return portion of JCAP grant funds. We have another resolution. Whereas the town court was awarded $13,705.89 in JCAP, which stands for Justice Court Assistant Program grant funds for 2022, and whereas due to unforeseen special circumstances for the construction projects, state mandates timeline to expend all funds by August 15th of 2022, and the denial of an extension by the state, the town needs to return the remaining funds not expended. Whereas the total amount spent was $1258.89, with an unspent balance of $12,447 needing to be returned. Now therefore be it resolved, the Canton Town Board authorizes Supervisor Ashley to return $12,447 to the New York State Commissioner of Taxation and Finance. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay. We need to approve the front end loader financing agreement. That is another resolution. The purchase price was $192,477, and we put down $50,000 last December. And it took a while to get the equipment, but we do have it, the financing agreement that the board has been sent through the Sunfirst company. And so we did budget the 31,000 as the payment for this year. And it is a 5-year agreement. They do require a resolution to be passed by the board for the installment purchase contract between Kansas City State Bank and the town of Canton. But we'll be talking next about the trade-in value for what we have now. So there is something about paying this off. But in order to make this payment, we do have a piece of equipment. We need to get this sent back to them. So the resolution is up. We have to pass that. There has reviewed it. And well,
I mean, as I indicated earlier, the contract doesn't specifically define the article of general sales contracts, but it's close, and it's got the key provisions, and anything that's offset. Article 19 of the general qualifies.
So.
okay, so is there a motion for this resolution? Motion by Jim Smith, is there a second? See no more? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, carried. All right, so we get that. Okay, the 2010 front end loader, we need to have discussion on getting that out. So somebody committee will report on that, or Stephen? or-
Steven?
Like to advertise it, put it out for sealed bid, and obviously minimum bid on it. And try that route first. For some reason, that doesn't work out. I've talked with Auctions International, online auction service. They don't run, like you don't have to wait a month to get it onto one of their auctions. And basically get it on the same week. So it wouldn't back us up much, but I'd like to try local first and see what happens. And do it on sealed bid.
Yeah, the specific-
The last time we sold them, we sold it locally, and we recognized just about trading was. And I think.
You think it's like that?
I think the same thing now. No, better. But
Caterpillar offered us $50,000 for our old one. I would like to be in the 80 to 90 on the minimum bid for it.
the way, if you look at what's going on, as you said today, for an individual,
Yeah.
let's not about a town, but for an individual, to buy the one that we just got.
It's right around
Today.
300,000.
So if you've got a machine up there, it's only got 3,800 hours. And it's been well maintained, you've got all the service records. I would look at that. I would,
2000 and, 10, that's 20 cents right there. They have, like, Milton Cat has a machine like our, what was our newer one on their website for sale right now, but more hours than what the town has on it. And they're asking more for it used than what we paid for this new one.
Oh.
So in a perfect world, we should have ordered two.
So well.
we ordered two.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like to see the point.
All right, so everybody.
They don't use extension cords.
Then we go out to bid, and so we'll have to create a legal notice, and then get ready to we'll work together on a legal notice to get that out. Is there a time frame that you're thinking of when you want to
Sooner
get
the
that?
better.
Sooner the better.
We could next week maybe try to get something going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just-
All right.
Just make sure that when we have the right to refuse it. Although, can you refuse bids if you put it in purchase? We would have been a 90, we would have bid. It's our, we don't have much cash. It's just a simple. So that being said.
Well, you know, your responsibilities in itself is. Have an estimation. Pull that out. Discuss other options.
Is there like a KDB for, type of thing for these kinds of pieces of equipment?
Like Caterpillar, they just go back, he took all the pictures of it, went back to the dealership, and they have personnel that
They just
price it.
Exactly.
$50,000 they offer to trade.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would have been excited to take it.
Okay. And would you also send that to the county, your county association of highway superintendents, and is there a state association? Listserv that you can send that out to,
I'm not sure. I'd have to check.
just an idea. All right, great. So we'll work on that. All right, under new business, I'm just gonna table that for a few more minutes. You might be joining us at 7:30, so let's table that for a minute. All right, the next item is consider change of board meeting day. And I put this on there because board is in need of changing their time. They're increasing back from 2 days a month to 4 days a month. And Justice Foster will be doing the first 2 days of the month on Wednesdays, and then Justice Morgan can do it the last 2 Wednesdays. However, Justice Foster needs to do it at 3:30, starting at 3:30. So that might complicate, getting the room set up in time for our board meeting. So she and I did finally connect over the phone today, and so I've been throwing it out to the board. You know, Heidi has a schedule as well, and you know, she's done a great job with Flex Assistance setting up all of this. So, you know, Michelle did indicate that it's a non-DA, I believe you all got her email, it's a non-DA day, so it should last about an hour. However, you know, we don't know if it'll be more or less, but the room needs to be set up for 4 meetings. So, does the board want to change the board meeting date, the board meeting time? Do we want to move upstairs? Which I would prefer to do. Because, you know, we've had problems with technology, but it seems to be working tonight. So maybe it was a
Laptop,
computer
so-
problem. I don't know. So I'm just opening it up for discussion. And you know, Heidi, you and I spoke a little bit about your schedule. That really, you know,
I don't think I'll have enough time to set up the board meeting. I do have to duck out about quarter to 5, but I come right back about 5:15. It really doesn't give me much time, especially like it's a 2-person job, like I conduct this. So, I mean, and that's hoping that their court would get done. I mean, I don't know. Pushing it.
What we had on Thursdays, we can see the run into some of the problems with people not getting reports in or getting, you know, it seems like, you know, it really narrowed the window of when we as board members have to get in here to do audit, look at the bills, having that extra day. I think providing a lot more flexibility for departments and even for us. That's what I know.
and we used to be on Wednesdays, and then because of COVID, we switched to Thursdays for the, you know, the cleaning of the courtroom. Now we're, you know, we have this situation now. I mean, we switched back because John, I know you had a.
I have a long-standing commitment on the second Thursday. So what I would propose is we consider maybe going to the third Monday. And that would give you even more additional time to get the coding and bills done and get the reports in and whatnot. I'm just throwing that out there.
And I wasn't sure if Eric would be available.
Right.
On a different day as well, or Angela.
Other job I have.
The third Monday.
Would, I guess the lesser of all the evils, moving upstairs, whatever, that being like.
It'll be more comfortable. The acoustics are better, the technology works much better up there. But again, we had the discussion about our backs to
Yeah,
the
I don't care for
road.
that.
So,
So if we set the table up lengthwise, our backs to the window.
yeah, we tried that 1 year and it didn't work because everybody's stretched out. It doesn't, you know.
What's the problem with down here?
In my opinion, I feel that the board is much more amenable, acoustic wise, technology wise, and it's more. Or if you want to try moving it to 6:30, it would give us a little bit more of a window and try to get the room set up. It was, I think, the first year, I came down and dragged all this together. But we didn't have, you know, we didn't have COVID, we didn't do the Zoom, so that wasn't an issue.
6:30, that gives enough time.
Let's try for 6:30 instead of 6.
Only the 30 day.
There, that we would
Sunday.
do 6:30. Angela, that's the guys.
I answer.
push it to 6:30.
That's what we're discussing right now.
Later. Yeah.
All right, so why don't we try 6:30 to 5 o'clock? And we'll go from there.
We're all 4 o'clock days.
I'm sorry?
We do all 4 o'clock days.
4 o'clock.
We meet at 4.
You and I can talk. Okay. All right, so that's what we'll do.
Stick to the second Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Everybody good with that? All right, we'll try that. All right. All right, thank you, everybody.
Mary Ann, that's starting next month.
It will.
The open meeting law, they have to change.
Right, well, I was just gonna-
5:45.
I was just gonna say that. 'Cause
I was just getting, to
6:15.
I was just getting to that. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back up to old business, the open meeting video conference. We'll do that at 6:15. We'll be able to have that. So that'll all work out. Okay. We need to set a public hearing to consider the tax cap override. We've done this every year as a backup in case we need it for the budget. So is everybody good with having that at 6:15 to have those come back?
6:25.
I was gonna say 6 o'clock, but you know, whatever.
All right, we'll do that at 6:45. Okay, the next item is for informational purposes. We do need to review our COVID reporting policy. You know, we spent a lot of time when COVID hit, making sure everybody is healthy and safe, and as well as the public. We need to review that because, you know, the window was, staff got 10 paid days off. That was a federal thing, and then everything has changed now. And so, you know, policy committee will work with us to review that. How people use the term, because it's now considered a disease like any other. So we have to, the 10 days, paid, it's helpful for the rest. We'll bring that back to the board. Okay, all right. Let's go back to that. So, Bob Hewlett was appointed in October 1st of 1992 to the Board of Assessment Review. That's 30 years. That's a long time. I mean, it's staying on. Now that's public service. That's public service. And
He's
he's
a
been,
lot of assessments come and go.
I'm
Sorry?
sorry?
A lot of assessments come and go.
He has seen like 3 or 4 assessors through the 30 years, and you know, that's true public service, and he served as chairperson, I think, these last 2 terms. So that, you know, that leadership was there, so, you know, I did ask him to come, but he was a little shy, so, but I think it's worthy for the record to publicly thank him. Show our appreciation to his 30 years of service. So now we are looking for 2 more members to serve on that as well. So thank you to Bob Hewlett. Anyone else want to comment? All right. So number 5 and 6. This is a standard that we passed a resolution setting up escrow accounts. We do have the first one, the Soul America. This is site 2. This is that company's second project. So we need a motion to approve setting up that escrow account. Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. Okay, and the next one is Forefront Power on the 29 Nickerson Road to set up that escrow account.
So
Moved by Santa Moore, second by Walker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay. Whew. The next item is, every year we do this, it's a proclamation for Constitution Week. We get notified by the Daughters of the American Revolution asking us to pass this proclamation. So I'm going to read it because it's so important. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law. And whereas September 17th, 2022, that should be 2022, marks the 235th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. Whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it. And whereas public law 915 guarantees the issuing of the proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore, I, Mary Ann Ashley, by virtue of the authority vested in me as a supervisor of the town of Canton, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week. And ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties. And witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town of Canton to be affixed this 14th day of September of the year 2022. So that's pretty important. So we'll get that taken care of and sent back. Okay, the next item on the agenda is confidential secretary bookkeeper appointment. We have advertised for the position. We have interviewed 4 applicants, and we're still in the process, and I expect to be appointed someone very soon. So just wanted to go on record saying the process has started. I thank John for joining me in the interviews, and we're very pleased with the response. So hopefully that's the way on board there is. Okay. All right, the last item on the agenda is public comment. Any public comment? All right, having said that, we do need to go into executive session, and we need to choose the executive session for negotiations. Moved by Bob Seymour, is there a second? Second by Bob Washam, all in favor, say aye. Aye, carried. All right. Go upstairs. Thank you, everybody. See you then.